welcome to my vlog. I am Di, and today we're going to be chatting all about moving. So in case you did not catch it already from the title, we have some exciting news and we have a number of videos coming up to share all about our upcoming move. We are moving again, and some of you super sleuths started catching on Instagram when we were going on a number of trips to one specific place, and people were sending me messages in the DMs, and they're DMing me like, it seems like the girls' rooms are very staged right now. I'm going to be doing some videos on staging as well, because we've had to do it a number of times if you've been following us for a number of years. But in fact, I was staging our house to get ready to put it on the market. The girls did pick out their room themes that they wanted, but part of the staging process that we always go through is that kind of depersonalization process where you get all of your personal items that have your name, your photo, all of those things out of the rooms. So that was part of that process, and as a part of that, I wanted to get them some new furniture. They were due for some tween rooms and just kind of an upgrade into that new style for both of them. So that was what that was all about. But we're very excited because this is a very kind of interesting timing for us to be moving, and a little bit of background about if you are new to our channel and don't really know a whole lot about like, why is this a thing with you? And I'm going to be doing a whole question and answer, so you can just pop all your questions down below. I'm going to be doing a Q&A call on Instagram as well, and we'll just do a huge moving question and answer in case I can help anyone out with answers and that sort of thing. But our backstory is my husband's an engineer. We've had to move a number of times for his job and his position, the types of jobs that he has done in the past. So he worked at an automotive OEM for about 10 years in various capacities. So he was in a contract position doing one thing, and then he went direct to the company. But in that whole 10-year time span, he was with the same OEM, doing a number of different jobs. And those jobs rotated around on the newest vehicle platform. So we would move to wherever the new vehicle that they were launching was at. And so we would go where the new car was, and then he did a new truck platform, and then he did a couple of their more sporty vehicles. And so we would just bounce to where that new product was getting launched, and then about every 2 years, we'd move on to the next new product. So as the girls started getting older, it was definitely a consideration of, are we gonna keep having to move that often? We were centrally located in the Detroit suburbs next to the huge engineering center for the company, which this matters because I'll circle back around to this later. So we were in a really good spot to just stay there where we were in Michigan and for him to be able to continue on engineering. But after doing that for 10 years, he hit a point, and we had kind of a number of negative things happen in our life, just boom, boom, boom. If you've been following us, you know at least one of them, probably off the top of your head, where the car hit the side of our house. We had a giant hole in our house. Our house had to be rebuilt over about a year, and so there was just a lot of unusual stress in our lives at that time period. And also, if you don't know, working in the automotive industry is unusually stressful as well. So he had hit a point after doing that for 10 years. He liked automotive for what it was, just mechanical, and you know, the fact that people could go have fun with these products. But he did not like the stress of working in that specific industry. So in 2017, we kind of opened ourselves up to be open to finding some sort of different job for him. And he was looking at other OEMs. He opened his search up basically all across the Southeast United States, all the way up to Michigan. And very rapidly, a recruiter found him that was looking for somebody that had that automotive engineering experience for a position at an off-road sports company. And so this is exciting because if you also don't know us from our previous videos, he has been an avid motorcyclist and dirt biking, on-road, off-road, the whole thing. Since the whole time I've known him, since when he was in the Air Force, I mean, he just has loved motorcycles his whole life. So this opportunity came up and the time was right to kind of make the jump. I did want to stay in Michigan, but I knew that we were at a point where we needed to make a change for him. And the bottom line was that if we stayed in Michigan, he was going to be doing automotive, and he needed out of that super high stress, a lot of hours, to be honest. That's why you didn't see him in a lot of videos, is because it's a lot of hours too. That whole environment. So we made the move here to Huntsville, Alabama, and we have been here for 5 years, which is also notable because that's the longest time frame we have ever been anywhere, because we'd be 2 years in Illinois, 2 years in Michigan, 2 years in Illinois, 2 years in Michigan, and then we ended up down here. And then there was a couple moves between facilities in Illinois. I think that was even before I was doing YouTube. But anyhow, so a lot of moves. We have moved 13 times in 10 years of our 10 years of marriage. And now I believe this is house number 7 that we'll be buying, and I don't even know what number move. I'll figure it out for the question and answer video. Anyhow, we've moved a lot. So he really loves the company that he works for now, and he definitely wanted to stay with them. When he initially took the job down here, they were supposed to be moving an engineering center down here to Huntsville. And I don't even think it's specifically related to COVID. I think it just was a change in kind of vision and just a change in what they decided to do, even pre-COVID, but I think COVID just solidified it. That is no longer coming to Huntsville. So it's kind of a long backstory of how these engineering positions that he was in ended up down here, but they were supposed to be part of a larger engineering version that changed. And so that vision changed, that version of the company changed. The additional jobs that were supposed to be brought here went somewhere else. And so all of their engineering, like main hubs, all their main facilities are in a very, very different location, which brings me to, we're moving. So, you know, we've been here for 5 years. It was time for him to start figuring out what his next step was in the company. If you know my backstory, I had worked since we've been down here, just kind of figuring out what my next steps were. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, and I'll probably touch on that in the question and answer video if any of y'all have questions about that as well. So that was a small consideration, but it wasn't also, because I'll kind of touch on it in this video why it really wasn't. But for him to stay with this company that he really, really loves, he enjoys what he is doing there, it requires us to move back to the Midwest, which that's the exciting part. But it also requires us to move to Minnesota. So if you remember some of my videos from when we were in Michigan, I am the one person in my family that is not super excited about cold weather. I like looking out and seeing snow, but having to drive in it, having to bundle up, it makes me a little bit like nervous. So the kids absolutely love the snow. They have absolutely adored when it snows out here. They don't have to deal with driving in it. The kids are super duper excited, by the way, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. I'll try to touch on that, but they're super duper excited. They're excited about being back in the Midwest. They're excited about being back in snow, and they're excited just because when we've gone to visit Minnesota, I don't really know how else to explain this other than it feels like Michigan. And Michigan has been home for a number of us for quite some time. That's just where we kind of envision our home is. So for us to move to Minnesota and it feel a lot like Michigan is definitely a plus for us. But so he knew that it was 5 years. He had to figure out what the next steps for his career were. And that meant looking at all the facilities where the company currently has engineering, which is not here, basically. So the jobs that are here are probably only going to be here for a very limited time. It has to do with tax, you know, tax things that the city got, and it just is involved. You can find out through news articles if you're really interested in knowing, but they got certain tax breaks for having a certain number of engineers, and that's getting ready to run out right at the time when Isabella would be going into high school. So that was definitely a consideration of, if we know we're going to have to move, we might as well do it now before she goes to high school, and we can kind of get established in a place where he can work with this company long term and have way more engineering possibilities. So we sat on this for a long time. We had conversations about this, and I finally just said, you know what? Open it up. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. And there was this job when I told him to do that, that was direct to the motorcycle company, that the off-roading company that he works for, that they own. And this job just fit all of the things that he was looking to go into. It's similar to one of the jobs that he had worked at the OEM with the cars, but this was specifically motorcycles. So this is like his thing, right? So as soon as like he told me about this job, I pretty much knew back then, like months and months and months ago, that we were going to be moving, but we have to go through the process, right? To see if he's a good fit from their side, to see if he's a good fit from his side. Went through the whole process. Everything was green light go. And so moving forwards in time, he obviously got the job offer because we're moving. And it's going to be a great opportunity for him to keep with the company that he wants to stay with, have a long-term career with, and do something that I think he's really going to love. So it's an exciting opportunity for him. It is in Minnesota, like I just briefly touched on earlier. So it's going to be a brand new adventure and a brand new climate. Even though we've lived in Michigan before, Minnesota I think is going to be a bit different. But the interesting thing is it kind of feels like home a little bit being there, because there's restaurants from Illinois there that we recognize. There's things from Michigan, like the roundabouts and things like that, that we recognize. So there's already elements that really feel comfortable to us from the other places that we've lived. So it's been an interesting journey, and it's been an interesting process, but that's where we're at. So we're getting ready to load up. And I did wait to make this video because I wanted to have the house that we're in here sold. We did opt to sell this house as opposed to rent it out or anything like that. We did consider that. Rental property is something that we are looking at getting into, and I'll do other videos about that on down the line. But just with the distance, there's 1,000 miles from where we are now to where we're moving. We ended in the end opted to look at rental properties closer to where we are. Because even if you have a property management company and that sort of thing, like, it's just a lot more complicated if you have to go like that sort of distance to just check in on things or whatever you want to do. Pick out items if you're redoing a room and all that kind of stuff. So that's a whole nother like piece of this. But I think one question that will probably get asked, so I'll just go ahead and we'll dive into it a little bit in this video, is, well, what about your job? Because you're obviously leaving your job. So I've been very, very fortunate to meet a number of wonderful people here in Huntsville. It's kind of one of the main drivers that I wanted to get out and meet people, and I wanted to work as a part of a team. Was the big kind of driving force behind me going out and getting a job pretty soon after getting here. It's kind of felt a little bit fish out of water-ish a little bit, and so I did think, and it did help meet people and kind of feel more acclimated to the area. I do think COVID is one of the reasons why we ended up being here as long as we did. I think that definitely helped. But our move specifically to this area over here and finding the amazing grade school that the girls both went to and the dedicated teachers that did amazing projects with them, you could tell they loved being with the kids. That definitely helped as well. Absolutely, hands down helped. You know, having that environment where, even though we did virtual school for part of COVID, you know, the teachers really invested themselves in the kids. I think that definitely really, really helped. But for me, going out and getting a job, it was to meet people. It was to, you know, do all those different elements, work as a part of a team. There's a whole big backstory here. We can get into it in a question and answer if you want to, but for a really long time, you know, I kind of was at the height of my channel in 2017 when we did this move. But there is a kind of background story, I think, with all vloggers of this is a new territory and we don't really know quite what is this going to do for or against our kids in the future. And so there's that whole kind of like thing in the back of your mind all the time of, you know, are we vlogging too much? Are we not taking enough opportunities? How is this going to affect them positively or negatively? And I just really felt like I needed to kind of take a step back and really evaluate at that point. And it literally was probably at the height of my channel when I did this. And so I decided to kind of step back a little bit, still keep everything going, but keep it going at a level where I started pulling the kids out. I never really even announced that I was doing it, but if you remember the videos from kind of the before times to now, they've changed over time. And part of that was just the change of course, I was working out in an office and I didn't have the daily activities to share, which is part of this exciting news as well. We'll get to that in a minute as well. But we really hit the resolution of, you know, my husband's always kind of been on the fence of like, is this good? Is this bad? How is this a career? But really, when we started getting opportunities to go on these travel trips that we've gone on in the past, and I was able to bring in a good income from it, those are the things that made him kind of see it as more a career option. So those things helped. But I think he always kind of had the thought of like, I have multiple degrees, and so I think he had the thought of like, well, you could be out and making like multiple six figures, doing, you know, XYZ. So I think really it took me going out and getting jobs where I was not making $200,000 a year. We'll just go ahead and put that flat out. For him to really realize like, I am going to be able to pay myself more than anyone else is ever going to pay me. And so that's been the really interesting that COVID actually helped, is because when COVID hit, everything stopped, right? Like, so at the work that I worked at, we got furloughed, which means like not working for months and months and months. And even when we got brought back on, it was like 4 hours a week, then 10 hours a week, then 15, and, you know, it was like incremental back up. It was luckily nothing that we were relying on, but I did watch a number of people that were in the position, like this is what they relied on. And so it really kind of snapped me into a perspective of, I really don't want us to be wholly reliant on other people. So that was one aspect of it. And obviously he's in a corporate job, so, you know, we do have a bit of that in our family, and having a corporate job does help because of health insurance and all those things. But so that was one thing that happened during COVID. But the other interesting thing that happened during COVID, I've obviously had my business going on in the background this whole time. And when I say my business, it's not just YouTube. I think a lot of times, like, this is where you're watching this, so this is the only thing that you're aware of. But I have a whole social media affiliate marketing business going on in the background. And when COVID hit, it dropped too, just like everything else in the world. Everything stopped for a little while for most people. But then when everything opened back up, my business ran back up, and it far exceeded like anything that my job was doing at that point. And then at that point, I was able to really realize, like, this is it. Like, COVID was the biggest determining factor of, I'm never going to get paid more in a regular job than I'm going to pay myself. So that was really a deciding factor of this really, my career now can go anywhere that we need to. So if I need to move to support his career, then that's what we're going to do. So that's kind of some of the background and a little bit of the deciding factors. And so I definitely, you know, one of the places that I've worked down here was a cause. It was a nonprofit cause, and I do believe in that cause. And so I've offered my support at a distance as however I can help support with kind of the unique skill set that I do have. But that being said, I, you know, am now in a position where we can take my career, and basically my social media business and my affiliate marketing business is going to be my full-time focus, because it's just going to be the better route for our whole family. It's going to have a better quality of life for our whole family. It's just going to be a better fit overall. And I think we worked through a lot of those background questions of like, too much, too little, what is this doing? You know, the girls are getting older now, and they really are active participants. They will ask to be in videos, they will ask to be in pictures, and if they don't want to do it, they say no. So it really is helpful to have an older child now that can be an active participant and actively opt in or opt out. So that's really, really helpful, and I think has helped kind of get us to a point where we are kind of excited to dive back in. And by excited to dive back in, that brings me to my last point. Since I am going to be just going back to my social media affiliate marketing and all the other things that I do, and if you want me to talk about that in question and answer, let me know. But my streams of income are much more than just YouTube. So I have about 7 to 8 streams of income at any one given time that are not my regular job, that are not YouTube. Like, they're just other streams of income. And I'm a big believer in not only passive income, but having multiple streams of income. And COVID absolutely proved that out for me, because I was able to sit and watch all these streams of income go up and down during COVID and really gauge, you know, what reacted the best and what didn't bounce back as quickly and all those sorts of things. So COVID really changed a lot for us. It really did. But anyhow, I think that this is going to be a good move for us. We're all excited about going back to the Midwest. I'm a little trepidatious about going back to cold weather, but there's going to be a lot of cute boots and cute jackets and just a lot of cute things that we will get through it. But the kids are super excited. They are looking forward to moving, and I think that's one of the things that makes this the best, is being able to go up to Minnesota. When we've gone up and previewed Minnesota one trip, we went up on a house hunting trip here just recently, and found a house up there. So you'll see that in an upcoming video. But to go on these trips and be out doing things, and Isabella said something to the effect of, I feel like I got my childhood back. And like, that just makes you go like, oh, wow. Like she's basically essentially saying like, this feels like home. This feels like where I grew up as a child. She still is a child, but you get what I'm saying. And so she, especially because she was born in Michigan, she loves the snow. Like, she's super duper excited, and I'm very thankful for that, because she's at an age where it could be a little dicey. Like, so say like you just had to move, and like your husband got a new job, you're moving across the country somewhere you've never moved. A middle schooler could be really not happy about, you know, just like picking up and leaving. But I think the fact that we have moved before, they know how it turns out on the other end. It's like a big adventure, and we do turn it into an adventure. I think that helps, but also the world we live in, the electronic world that we live in, I think it also helps because they know that they're gonna have these ways to keep in contact with their friends down here, their friends, they made a space camp, and their friends, you know, from all over the place electronically, they have different ways that they keep in touch with them. So I think that helps as well. But that is it in a nutshell. So we're going to be in Minnesota soon, and we'll be bringing you Minnesota vlogs here very shortly. I'm very excited about all the possibilities, and also I'm excited because I'm planning on going back to more of like a daily vlog type style. So I think I probably just heard some yays from the other side of the screen, because I think that's really what people, that's initially how I started my channel. This channel that you're watching right now is by doing daily vlogs and just bringing you along for my life. So I'm just gonna bring you along for the move, bring you along for redecorating the new house, bring you along for getting settled into Minnesota, and just bring you along for my daily life as a mom in Minnesota doing what we do. I have plans to share like staging the house, and I'll show all of the moving into the new house, decorating the new house, and all of those sorts of fun decisions. But I think it's gonna be good because it's gonna be going kind of back to our roots of literally going back to the Midwest for one, but then also I'm going to be having the time, honestly, to do more of like a daily vlog style type of vlog. Because I'll be honest, like I did it, I managed to kind of keep my channel and all the other stuff going that I do, but it was not easy at points, you know, to have the demands of like a quote unquote regular job, and then have this essentially what runs itself to a certain extent, but it's in like spurts. So like even to run it at the level that I was, like you have more to do, you have less to do, more to do, less to do. So keeping that spurt on top of, you know, the demands of like a regular job, I mean, the only reason I can say that I kept going doing it is one, I felt like it was worthwhile, obviously. But then two, it's just, I have a passion for this. And so you have to stay where your passion is. So let me know if you have any questions down below. I'll be doing a whole question and answer video. I believe I said Minnesota a number of times, but it's Minneapolis, St. Paul is where we're going to be headed to. So we'll be bringing you vlogs from Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm also super excited about moving back to a larger area, a little bit more to do there, more parks, more outdoor stuff, just more cities in general. And so kind of more of that suburban feel. So I think it's going to be really good overall. And so this was a really good move for us, for my husband's career and financially, and just kind of moving him into a different type of career. No, he's in the same career field, but different type of company, I guess you could say. Moving him into a different industry is the word I'm looking for, industry. It was good for all of those reasons, but I think at the end of the day, you know, I think going to Minnesota hopefully should feel a little bit like going home. It should hopefully feel similar to Michigan, and I'm excited to see what the next chapter brings. So let me know if you have any questions down below. We'll be bringing you some moving vlogs here very soon. And then after that, it's gonna be daily vlogs from Minnesota and some trips coming up where we're gonna be going to Disney. We got a Disney Wish Cruise coming up, lots of exciting things. So we're excited to be kind of back at it. And I will see you in another vlog very soon. Thanks for watching and have a great day.